welcome to episode 3 of the video podcast. I'm blanking. Alright, so last week was Boy Meets World.
Yes.
Television show, so who'd you pick?
I picked Ryder Strong, is that his name?
I did too.
Did you? Okay. Alright. And you want me to go ahead and tell you what movie I picked?
Do it.
See if we get one. I picked Darkening Sky.
Okay.
You didn't pick that one. I saw your face. You weren't as excited.
No, I picked Summertime Switch.
Summertime Switch. That sounds kind of like a cheesy comedy. Is that what it was?
Kinda. You want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead. I went first last time. You go ahead.
Summertime Switch from 1994. And let me set it up for you. Here's the summary. A young punk named Freddie Egan is sent to juvenile center for the summer, while a spoiled rich kid named Freddie Egan III is going to be sent to a luxury summer camp. And oh no, they get on the wrong bus. And hilarity ensues.
It sounds so original. How did nobody ever think of this before that?
So, Ryder Strong plays Freddie Egan III, little rich asshole.
Does he didn't play the other kid though? They didn't.
No, they don't even look the same. The other kid is an African American kid named Jason Weaver, who's a pickpocket. The movie starts out where he stole a Boy Scout's uniform and knocks on a door, and he's accepting donations for charity or whatever. And this old lady gives him this old coin. It's supposed to be good luck, and then that's how it kind of starts. Yeah, so. They get there and he says, I'm Freddie. And like, you need to be on. Of course, they all look at him like, you sure? You need to be on this bus. And everyone looks down at him. And then everyone starts looking up his information. Even the bus person had a list, and there's money symbols next to him. So Freddie Egan III had a billion money symbols. Right this way. It also had Patrick Renna. I think that's how you say his name. We've talked about it before. The redhead kid that was kind of chubby with freckles, who was in a lot of early.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He plays a rich kid.
Was he the one that was in what's the soccer movie I'm thinking?
Green.
Yeah, the one where it's shows him getting hit in the balls,
yep.
Right on the cover.
So his name is Modem because he's an internet hacker. Yes, he's from a rich family. Must have set bored. So.
I'm just picturing him nowadays, still being a hacker, and everybody would going, "Damn, you gonna upgrade from dial-up? Come on now, modem."
So the rich little jerk, Ryder Strong, who's Freddie in the third, gets sent to the detention camp, and then that's pretty much how it kicks off. It's kind of like your standard Switch movie. Yeah, it reminded me. I mean, I think this might be before, but it reminded me a lot of Kid and Play, where the player tough-talking one gets sent to the upper school.
You're talking about Class Act?
Yeah. So that's why I felt so much deja vu watching this. I wasn't sure if I saw it when I was a kid. I've just seen so many freaking movies where people are switched that it's just eh. So, Fast Freddy, the African-American kid, calls himself. His name's Jason Weaver. His real name. And he likes the girl, and she's all like, "Blah, all you rich punks the same," even though she's rich too. But then slowly, kind of shows that which is weird because it's shown out he's a good guy. I'm like, he steals people's money. I don't know. It also has Richard Mole in it.
Oh yeah?
He's the chef at the rich place, and as soon as he sees them, he knows he doesn't belong there. He's like, "You don't belong here." He's like, "I'm from the streets too, kid. I know what's up." So he kind of becomes like a mentor to the young kid. And then later, Modem figures out that he's not really the rich kid and starts kind of blackmailing him. Making him...
and then he steals his identity.
Makes him do stuff and stuff like that. So then for some reason, there's a build-up. I don't know why. A very rich, fancy summer camp every year has a basketball game with the juvenile delinquent camp.
Oh, so they're going to meet up.
Yes. So,
and you get to find out how pissed off that rich kid is. They got to sit to the crappy camp.
Yeah. You know, it's the same thing. They both learn about themselves. They develop as humans. You know, Ryder realizes he's not better than anyone else, and he becomes friends with different kids. One's name is Numbers, and one's name is like Hacksaw. So he kind of becomes friends with them, and then he kind of bonds with like this weird kid that talks to toothbrushes. And he's like, we need you for the basketball team. And then he becomes normal all of a sudden. He's like, no one's ever needed me before.
It sounds like very after school sport.
Pretty much. It was a TV movie. So in the end, they start playing basketball. Okay. And then they realize that, one of them realizes that the modem has put magnetic strips on the ball so he can push a button and make the other team miss. Because he hacked into a betting website and made it so that some reason that game was on there. And then he was betting a bunch of money for his team to win. It's one of those things. It's kind of funny because it kind of seems like, you know, they're trying to push the story, you know, good people, you know, bad situations, all that. But then, like, when the basketball misses, so here's the hoop, and it lands in there. It goes almost in there, and it goes, woo! And they put, like, the sound effect to it. And they kept showing it to, like, I don't think the audience realizes he's pushing a button and stopping. It's like...
Like it's just totally defined physics, and everybody's like, "Wow!"
The other team's like,
that happened?
It was pretty. It was, that's what I'll say, pretty much.
What would you give that on a scale of like 1 to 10?
4.
Yeah, that's probably reasonable because you got some good laughs out of it, I'm sure.
So here's the ending. When they realize the kid's cheating.
Do we need a spoiler alert for under 5-star movies?
I only found this on YouTube, okay? And it was 240p, so I was having trouble even. So they kind of meet up and they're going to play basketball, even though the rich mom doesn't want him playing with those hooligans. Like, they're my friends. So, because that person's cheating, the delinquent school is losing. So, Richard Mole talks Fast Eddie into sitting on the bench to even out, because Fast Eddie's really good at basketball. So, which I didn't mention earlier, the very beginning of the movie shows Ryder Strong, like his rich school, and it's tied, and he has 3 foul shots. Or, it's almost tied. I think they're down by 1. So if he makes one, it's tied, he makes the other one, he wins. Misses them both. Yeah. So, and the end of the movie is the same thing. It's the same thing, and he makes them both and wins the game.
Oh, yeah. So he gets to, like, rewrite history and go back and make up for his mistakes.
And then in the end, you find out Fast Eddie's going to get adopted by Richard Mole because he doesn't have parents. He's on the streets. And then, you know, I guess it makes it sound like, and the girl that he started falling in love with still doesn't hate him even though she finds out who he really is. Yada, yada. But then at the very end, before it ends, he flips that coin he still has and, like, does a cheesy smile and, like, freeze frames and the credits go over it. I'm like, he learned nothing. He still stole that coin.
He's just going to go back and rob that lady later.
There'll be a sequel, The Lucky Coin Part 2.
He's like, I want more coins.
But Ryder Strong played a pretty good asshole rich guy.
You know what's funny? That's what I was thinking to myself is in my movie he plays an asshole, so maybe he's just good at it.
Nice.
That's funny.
Right.
So you definitely wouldn't recommend that to anybody. Maybe 240p. Skip to the funny parts.
Yeah, it's free on YouTube. Go for it. You couldn't find it anywhere else.
It's probably more entertaining to watch you tell the story. I probably wouldn't need to watch it now that you told the whole thing.
Also, randomly, Barry Williams plays Freddie Egan II, the rich dad.
He's the second?
Yeah. So basically,
did they have somebody that rolled out? It was a grandpa in a wheelchair, and he was Freddie Egan the first.
The rich parents were too busy for their kid. That's why they sent him off. And that's why he was a dick, because his parents don't love him. And he's like, we're not that different. You have no parents. It's like I don't have parents. I don't know if that's the same.
Yeah, I was going to say, that kid just decides he didn't want to acknowledge his parents.
Yep.
So that's not a recommendation. You can pass on that one, or what do you think? It's worth a cheesy laugh.
Hit up YouTube.
It's worth a free watch. Well, my movie is fairly new. I want to say that my movie's from like 2011, something like that. I don't know. It's called The Darkening Sky, And I don't have a lot of information in front of me. I'm just here winging it. But needless to say, Ryder Strong was the only actor I recognized in the whole movie. I didn't recognize anybody else. And in fact, I think most of the main characters in that movie were going to not ever be, famous like him, even though it's way past his prime. This movie is an alien movie, as you can kind of tell by the title. And I like alien movies. I especially the ones that are kind of more realistic. They're trying to play off of like the mythology of abductions and not like Independence Day. But this one was trying to be really realistic. They tried really hard to make it like those movies that are based on true stories or based on real accounts that people suggested really happened. But in this one, Ryder Strong is living with his girlfriend, and it kind of starts off at the beginning like I have to backtrack. There's actually a scene before the opening credits that's so funny that I almost didn't watch the rest of the movie after this. It was so bad. There's a little boy playing, and he's got like this ball he's bouncing. And you can just see it coming. You're like, this is be like a bad version of E.T. or something. And the kid has the ball bouncing, and it bounces out in the street. And he's really little. He looks like he's about 2 or 3 years old. And he goes out in the street, and he's going to grab the ball. And you're just thinking something's going to happen at any moment. And he grabs the ball. He turns like a car's going to hit him or something in the road. Nothing happens. And then he turns around, and then all of a sudden you see him get sucked off the screen, this little kid. And right before he does, it looks like a cartoon. His feet are going like this in front of the, like above the ground. He's like kicking in midair, and then he just disappears. And then it totally just jumps to Ryder Strong, like in the present. And you just assume that was probably him when he was a kid and he was abducted. And the weird thing is, though, in the future, or in the present, I should say, he studies aliens, and he's studying, he's got all these books, and he's studying cultural anthropology, and he's studying about this phenomena with aliens, but he's a total non-believer. He doesn't believe in aliens. And everything in the movie is him interacting with people that either don't know anything about aliens or they know everything about aliens. The whole movie is just people talking about aliens. There's no normal time in this movie at all. And it's hilarious because it starts off him and his girlfriend are living in this house, and his girlfriend breaks up with him because he's being loud and he's just being weird, and she says it's not going to work out. And he ends up like being outside, and he's talking to this new neighbor. All these scenes just kind of seem like they don't add up to each other. They're just kind of random scenes. His girlfriend leaves. He gets up the next day. She's gone. No explanation. He sees a broken like frame on the thing. Like there's like a dresser or something in the bedroom. It's broken. It's got her picture with her sisters, and that's it. He finds out that she didn't go to work. Within 5 minutes of him finding out that the girlfriend's gone, didn't go to work, he just like literally goes on with his life. Like there's no big deal. He just leaves. And it's like it doesn't catch him off guard or anything. And it just seems really odd. Well, then he's out. He keeps studying. Like he's got all these books, and he talks to this lady because he says he wants to go back to school. He wants to finish working on his doctorate. And the lady's like, your doctorate, and she's like really acting weird. She's like, where have you been? I thought I was supposed to check in on you, and saying all these weird things. And then he's like, I'm living with my girlfriend, and he's just thinking that she's weird, and then she thinks he sounds weird. And there's a whole bunch of talk about education and getting his doctorate and things like that. And then boom, all of a sudden this girl shows up. It's so random. He's out at this park bench, and this homeless person like kind of comes up, starts acting weird, and then all of a sudden here's this girl. She's just standing there, this kind of goth-looking girl. And she just starts talking to him like she knows him, and that goes on for a little while. And when he gets back to the house, he ends up finding out that his girlfriend still hasn't returned. She's still missing. He kind of glosses over that. And this new girl, this goth-looking girl, she is like the niece of this new neighbor he's got. It just continues. All these random things are happening that don't seem like they're all connected at all. And that's probably, I don't know if that's intentional or not, but it doesn't really make sense to me. And before you know it, like it just keeps getting weirder. Like you keep thinking something is going to happen where it's going to get going, but instead it's just another weird thing happening. And for whatever reason, they end up going to this meeting. And it's like a meeting for people that have been abducted, because he gets to talking to this goth girl, and come to find out, she kind of says that he should go. Well, he goes to this meeting, and of course, when he gets to the meeting, he's like the only pessimist in the whole place. Everybody wants to talk about aliens, and this is probably one of the funniest parts of the movie, except for the little kid getting abducted. They're watching a video where this guy is giving a lecture about, and surprisingly, this movie's not about the gray aliens, the aliens with the big head and the black eyes. Not about that. They're about reptoids, which is like another alien species. I never hardly see any movies about them. That whole movie is talking about them. Then they show a scene from the news where it has President Obama, and they're watching slow motion. He's turning his head real close, like up close, but real slow. And then they pause it at the right moment, and you can see his skin ripple. And they're like, he's a reptoid. Seriously, you can't make this up. And so then after that, like the only person in the whole room that kind of laughs and makes fun of him is Ryder Strong's character, Eric. And he ends up leaving that place after basically bashing everybody in there and acting like a dick to everyone, like he kind of has the whole show so far. In fact, he even gets into the discussion of, who's qualified to talk about this. And there's a lot of education talk in this movie. Like if you've got your bachelor's, master's, or doctorate, it just keeps coming up for some reason in this movie. And they leave. He meets his same strange new neighbor outside. For whatever reason, like he lives in the Los Angeles area, but there's only like 20 people that live in the entire city. And he just keeps running into those same people over and over again. And it's just kind of like that over and over again. And the more he finds out, the weirder it gets. It's like they tried to make an X-Files show, and they tried to make it very strange and mysterious, but it just comes across as, kind of corny. There's actually a part where he goes to bed, and he starts having these weird dreams and everything. He gets up the next day. His girlfriend still hasn't showed up. His girlfriend's gone still. Hadn't picked up any of her things. Didn't go to work. Nobody knows where she's at. He's still just going on with his life. He ends up looking around the house. He finds a spleen outside his house. There's a spleen, like just sitting on the ground outside. He takes that in the kitchen, and then him and this goth girl kind of examine it. They're like turned into the Scooby-Doo group now. They're starting to really investigate. And inside that, they find this little metal key that they think goes to this door. If this isn't making sense to you, it's not a coincidence. It just doesn't make sense to anybody. All this weird stuff, then he starts to see people. It just gets weirder and weirder and weirder. Now he thinks everybody he sees, their face like moves and kind of melts. And you can tell they're reptoids or whatever they are, or shapeshifters or hybrids, whatever he thinks they are. And it just continually, him going places and seeing these weird people, and him trying to get information from these experts. And it gets really weird because then all of a sudden the girlfriend's sister shows up, and she's all like, where's my sister? And he's like, I haven't seen your sister. And then she like walks towards the kitchen. He's like, don't go in there. He like stops her. The spleen's sitting out on the counter. And it's like a human spleen, I guess. I don't know. It's setting out on the counter in the kitchen. And he's like, don't go in there. Don't go in there. And apparently, you can see where that's going. It looks like, she's going to think that he like killed his, girlfriend or whatever, that they broke up and he murdered her. So he like freaks out, and then this sister's face starts mutating and everything, and he thinks like she's whatever. So he basically has to end up killing her. He like strangles her or something and like throws her down or whatever. And it just keeps going like that. And I don't even know if I really want to give away the ending or not, because I don't know if it's important to anybody.
I need to know now. Are there really no aliens, and he's just a crazy person?
Well, that's the thing is the build up towards the end. He keeps trying to get into this little building for some reason that's near this tower that has this weird door handle on it that you can't really open. But supposedly it's made out of this metal that's metallic. It's like this some kind of special metal that it's magnetized, but it's magnetized to silver, which shouldn't be magnetic. Or I don't know. I don't know the logic in this movie. But when he finds this little key that's in the spleen. He takes it up there, and it has really bad CGI. This thing like opens up and goes inside the doorknob, and this little red light comes on, and the door opens. And he goes inside this room, and then all of a sudden his neighbor's there again. At this tower, way up on this hill that's not near his house. His neighbor's there. And the neighbor's like, what's inside there? Well, I got to know what's inside there. And Ryder Strong's character is looking around, and he's seeing like people's bodies, but they're covered in plastic. Like you can't, they're like under garbage bag tarp type things. And he sees this one guy's feet that he recognizes was this doctor person, this specialist that he went to go talk to about aliens. And then now he's like kind of putting it together that somebody's killing these people, or there's a whole bunch of discussion about harvesting organs and stuff and putting alien organs inside of humans and whatever. And he like freaks out on this guy, this neighbor. And when he comes out the building, it's like he's not really at that building. It actually looks like he's just at some random place. It doesn't even really look like it originally did, but he ends up hitting that guy with a pipe, this neighbor. And he thinks he's protecting that goth girl, and I think her name's Beth. But come to find out, that guy's like, who are you talking about? Who's Beth? You know, because it was supposed to be his niece, but he don't even know who she is. So you're starting to figure out that, you know, somebody's crazy in this deal. And I think the whole thing was supposed to be that this Ryder Strong person had kind of made up this Beth girl in his head, and really that person wasn't there. And then there was all these weird talk about the doctor he was talking to, that he said he wanted to go back and get his doctorate. Really, he was a mental patient, and that was just his doctor. There was no education involved or anything like that. He had just kind of got out of this mental hospital and lost touch with all these people. And it was just this weird whole scenario where he's the crazy one, and he's like imagining all this. Yet, at the very end, spoiler alert, if there's any spoilers here still left anybody cares about, he's taking the organs from these people he's killing, and he's giving them to this light inside there, and it's like, I don't know. So it's like, it kind of leaves it wide open, like he's crazy, but maybe really they're controlling him, and they made him do all this stuff because they want him to give the aliens these organs. I don't know. It was the most random movie. And what's really, really creepy about it, this has to be by far the creepiest part, is I fell asleep watching this last night, like 20 minutes in, thinking it was funny. Woke up towards the end when everybody's face was all melting and twitching out, and I was like, what the hell? I was like, is this the same movie? I didn't even know, because I had laughed at that movie for like the first 20 minutes. So I ended up rewatching it again today from the beginning, and I can't recommend it. I'd say if you're a hardcore Alien person, you may catch it, you know, watch it on Netflix or something like that. Do not buy it. It's for sure. If you think anything I told you was too unbelievable to believe, you may want to watch it for free if you can, just to satisfy your curiosity of how weird this movie is. But yeah, I can definitely say if it wasn't for this podcast idea, I probably would have never seen that movie. So I'm kind of glad I finally did watch it, because I would have never thought. It wasn't that bad. I mean, it was actually well made, except for the parts of, like, the dialogue was not very good, but the story was good. I don't know.
So randomly, before we roll to our picking our next show,
yeah,
I almost watched Little Monsters because apparently Ben Savage is in it.
Have you never seen that one?
No, but apparently his brother was in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was looking at that one and another one with him where he was like older. He was like a used car salesman. But then I had to go for the 90s kid cheese, man. I had to.
Well, if you get a chance, watch Little Monsters. It's a good movie. It's classic. Classic.
So, we decided on 60s television shows.
Next time. So, randomize us and tell us what our choice will be.
Randomizing Beverly Hillbillies.
Beverly Hillbillies. So we will be watching a movie starring one of the main actors. We can go ahead and decide who the main actors probably are.
The family.
Granny and Jed and the dumb one and the blonde.
Yes. And
probably the banker.
I'd do the banker and the assistant. Because they were in it quite a bit. I kind of had a thing for her back in the day.
For Mrs. Hathaway?
Yes.
She was so weird.
Her and, of course, the blonde one. Not
what was her name? I can't even.
I don't know. Mary.
It was Jethro was the kid.
Is it Mary something? Or am I thinking of Gilligan's Island?
Mary.
They're all Mary.
Oh, God. Yeah. I can't even remember. Oh, well.
Star Trek just missed out. That came in number 2.
Which one?
I said Star Trek came in 2nd. It just missed out.
That would have been a pretty decent one, too. Really, really cheesy William Shatner movies out there.
They really didn't want the Munsters Addams Family. Stuck them on the bottom of the list.